my friend John.
Oh, technology when it works is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, when it doesn't, it just kind of, it keeps us humbled, right? Um,
That's one
how are
way of
you
putting it.
to, how are you today, John?
I'm okay now.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm
Well,
good.
the,
Yeah.
the fun thing is that even though these sort of things make me a little nervous, I got to sort of, talk by myself, and that proves that I can do that sort of thing. So it's afternoon for you. It's Wednesday, and
Yeah.
what I had mentioned just in the intro that you've had a you've had a long career starting
Hmm.
back in the 80s, I guess it would be,
Yeah.
shooting press photography. But what I wanted to ask you is, you didn't necessarily start shooting, did you? You spent some time in the darkroom.
Yeah. No, I started off as an apprentice. I don't think those jobs are around anymore. Actually, I know they're not around anymore. But I started off as apprentice printer, and then I moved on to become a trainee photographer, and
Right.
then a full-time staff photographer at a press agency in London, Fleet
Yeah.
Street.
So you and I talked on the phone a few weeks ago, we talked about the similarities of our careers that are, span about 40 years. Now, we come from a day when not only spending a lot of time in a darkroom, but it was very much an apprenticeship-based craft, right? You didn't get
Mm.
to just be a photographer or get to be a commercial photographer. At least you needed to work and cut your teeth sort of under the wing of other photographers, whether
I
you were
did, yeah. Mm.
right.
And one of the most rewarding times actually was working in the library, and I didn't appreciate that when I first was positioned in the library. I spent 6 months in the library, and they had thousands and thousands of glass plates that we had to go
Mhm.
through and re-reference, and clean and print as well for stock
Right.
for the library and the catalogues and everything else. And that was a fascinating way to learn the trade as well, because I saw how to compose images, I
Mm.
saw how to light images, um, and it gave me an all-round good um, feeling for how to take a decent picture, whether it was
Yeah.
portrait, whether it was sport, whether it was uh, anything really, any the product shots.
Yeah.
It was fascinating to see the old type glass plates and no negatives that
Yeah. How
stood me
how
in good
old
stead.
how old were you, John, when you were doing that?
I was 20, well, I was 18, I think. I got the job. I was going to university, and I came across the job in a window. Press. This is the press agency near where I used to um, live, and a job just came up one day saying
Right.
press trainee photographer wanted. Apply within.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it. I just went in and I thought, oh, that sounds a cool job. And I did photography at school, but not as an exam subject, just as a
Mm.
after school subject. So I was a little bit interested in photography. And then they gave me the job on the spot. They said to me, well, it's yours if you want it, but you've got to take it now. Otherwise, tomorrow it will be gone.
Right.
So I came home and told my parents, who weren't impressed about it
Right.
at all. I was
Right.
giving up a university place,
Hmm.
and I actually thought I could go to university anytime. If I didn't like the job, I could always go back to university. It
Sure.
was during the 80s when it was free and easier. And but my dad was so against me doing working in photography. He didn't see it as a job at all. He said
Yeah.
it was a pastime, or it's a hobby. It's not really a profession.
Yeah.
And he was a civil engineer, so he didn't see the merits of me working in photography. So I think that helped. That one of the reasons that helped me to progress in the photography as well, to
Yeah.
try and prove him wrong.
Yeah. Of course. Right.
Mm.
Yeah. Back then, like, did you have any sense of what type of photographer you would become, or you're just doing
I
it as a
did, I did.
yeah.
No, I did. I love sports.
Right.
So, and I lived in Islington. I lived near the Arsenal soccer stadium. It
Yeah.
was my favourite team. I lived near there. The agency was near there, and I wanted to do sports, but I loved all sports. I did cover loads of sports, from motor racing to tennis to football, rugby, horse
Right.
racing, boxing. I spent a lot of time doing boxing photography.
Right.
For some reason or other, I got the job as the agency's boxing photographer. So I did sport for the first 2 or 3 years,
Yes.
which is perfect. I loved it.
When we talked on the phone the other day, we talked about sports photography as being a lot about anticipation, about you have to know the sport well, right? To know
Yeah,
it's not just about running after what's going on. You almost have to kind of know what's going to happen.
yeah, yeah.
It,
Anticipate. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So you know, especially in football, you know the wing is going to cross the ball. You don't
yeah,
focus on the winger, you focus on the box.
right,
And wait for the ball to come in, and you look around and see what players are maybe they're gonna head the ball, kick the ball, whatever. So it's all about anticipation, or you focus on the goalkeeper who's let four in,
yeah,
or let five in. So you know how to it works after a while. And
right,
with boxing, it was even more acute because you had to be aware of the boxer's stance, where
yes,
his feet were placed,
hmm.
where his bodies and shoulders were placed, and you know who's going to give a left hook, right hook, undercut,
And
overcut. So
in
yeah,
boxing, John, you can't move around, right? You have your spot. You
yeah, but that's where I excelled at boxing because first of all, I used a Hasselblad, and then I used a Rolleiflex, and the Rolleiflex was the most perfect camera for boxing. And in those days, you only had three ropes.
yeah,
Now they've got four, maybe five ropes now.
yeah,
But then when I did it back in the 80s, they only had three ropes, so it's quite easy to fit underneath the bottom rope, and the
yeah.
whole ring was in focus. So
Interesting.
when you're using a Rolleiflex, you have a sports finder in the press
Yeah.
down, flip up top. There's a sports finder, a little hole in the center of the sports finder, and a flip up top holder.
And for the photographers that are watching this, a Rolleiflex shoots film, and not just any film, but 120 film. So you'd have how
Mm.
many frames per roll of film?
I had 12 rolls then.
12.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
12 frames.
it's
12 frames. Sorry, 12
yeah, 12
frames.
frames. So it's not about shooting hundreds of photos and then picking the three. It's
Hmm.
shooting 12 photographs and hoping.
Being intentional, and watching the sport with a real critical eye as well. And
Yeah.
also because they synced at 500 per second, you didn't get any movement.
Right.
The flash
So
worked
you
well.
were you were using a handheld flash, or was it
It was
mounted?
a what was it? It was a Metz, I think. It was called a
Right.
Metz gun at the time, and it's attached to the bottom of the Rolleiflex. So the Rolleiflex has got a tripod screw
Yes.
where you fit the flash as well.
Right.
So you had the
Okay.
flash in one hand and a Rolleiflex in the other, and you click. Uh, yeah, I can't remember how you do it, but yeah, it was really easy, really, really fantastic setup basically, and the quality of the images were second to none. Yeah, so
Yeah, no doubt.
yeah,
And black and
yeah,
white, right?
all black and white. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, do you think that shooting sports photography and having to be very acute with your sense of anticipation has helped you in photographing people portraits?
Well, especially definitely niche photography, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because I've done a lot of civil unrest. I've done a lot of um, disaster work. I've done a lot of. I've done everything. In a press game, you end up doing everything,
yeah,
even down to product photography. I mean, studio photography as well. You follow the whole gamut. I've kind of done the whole lot over the
right,
years. I think it's left me in good stead now as a commercial photographer. But at the time, you don't actually. I mean, you do. That does leave you in good stead because you have to be good at all disciplines. I think
yeah.
in press
And,
photography.
and I guess when you're given it an assignment, a reportage assignment to go out, it's all about the story. And so if you have your roots in that, still to this day, like every editorial portrait or corporate portrait would always have to have a reference to what's the story. I would
Yes,
imagine, right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and you have to read. Yeah, you have to be able to read the story, read the environment, and and try and come back with as good as pictures as you can
Yeah,
for the story that's going to be written in the paper next day. I mean, because invariably I was sent out with a reporter, so we sort of work in tandem,
right.
try and get the story together. And if we're doing what I liked the most, though, in the end, was doing my own portrait shoots with individuals. That's what really
Yeah.
gave me the buzz because
Did
sometimes you only have 4 or 5 minutes, and
yeah, did it
emphasize on
evolve
that.
into giving it an assignment, a portrait assignment for the paper?
Then it evolved. I got headhunted by Piers Morgan,
Right.
the TV guy,
Yes.
who used to be a journalist and then became the editor for Daily
Yeah.
Mirror. And he offered me a great job as the paper's entertainment photographer,
Right.
um, which was a fantastic role. I ended up going around the world photographing A-list celebrities,
Oh,
one-to-ones, and everything else. And that's how I learned to do portraiture and lighting.
yeah.
Because after a while, I used to have my kit figured out. One night, one single light softbox or reflector or something.
Right.
I'd be able to walk into a hotel room,
Mm,
a large house, a mansion, any sort of house, any sort of room, any sort of environment, and know how to light it, and know how, um, and know what picture I was going to take within 3 or 4 minutes.
right.
And I had it knocked down to a T in the end because I used to walk into these shoots with say Bruce Willis or something, and
Mm,
you have 3 or 4 minutes.
yeah.
And I have to prolong that shoot by saying, listen, okay, Bruce, and to his management team, I've got 3 shots. I'll do one there, and one there.
Yeah.
And I want a range of different poses, different expressions. And because they knew that I'm going to do 3 shots, 3 different scenarios,
Yeah.
they'd relax and they'll be really cool about it. And it worked a treat
Oh,
all the time. And
mm,
so I began to feel comfortable all the time, knowing my spiel and knowing that they'd be comfortable with what I was going to tell them,
yeah.
and it worked. I did 3 shots, five images from 3 different scenarios, and it worked perfect.
That's very cool. One of the things I've noticed when I look at your photos on your website, there almost every one of them has kind of this careful blend of ambient light and imposed light. And I think over the years, like you've been able to kind of finesse or hone that relationship. So you can go into a scene and know what light's already there, what light do I need to bring
Hmm.
in, and then
Yeah.
and that's all the technical stuff, but you have to still engage and compose and create it. It
Hmm.
must have been very fun and a little, was it nerve-wracking for you or was
Oh,
it
absolutely. It's so seriously stressful because the paper
yeah,
you're doing a big A-list celebrity, and this is
yeah,
before. Remember when the internet was
yeah,
even a consideration?
yeah,
So our newspapers were the calling cards for the new film,
yeah,
the new publication, the new record, new album, whatever it was. So you had to get a big piece in the paper and a big
yeah,
main image for the paper, and also for syndication as well. So they trusted me in the end. I became very good at it, and I knew what I was doing. I didn't flinch, and also it can be quite intimidating when you go walk into a room. There's 20 people in there, and you have to direct the talent, as they say.
yeah.
And one of the worst jobs I've ever, one of the hardest shoots I've ever had was with David Bowie.
Hmm.
Um, he made my life really hell. Actually, he didn't help the situation. I saw a scenario, my 3 scenarios. In that case, I had one scenario. I had
Right.
5 minutes or 3 minutes with him, and I said to David and his manager, which I knew very well at the time, his PR manager,
Yeah.
Alan. I said, right, I'm going to do the shot there, edge of that bed in that hotel room. Nice shot of light coming through the window, sit on the edge of the bed. And David said, I don't think so. Do you? That threw me,
Yeah.
completely threw the PR and the team, and they was like tapping their feet and waiting for
Yeah.
me to get the next picture. I said, "Oh, okay." I looked around the room, and it was a really hideous room. It was filled with people as well. I sort of thought, you actually, I'm in the zone then, so I'm sort of panicking nervously, thinking, "What am I going to do this picture?" And And David looked at me, and he made it really hard for me. But I still got a cracking shot out of it.
Yeah.
I got 3 frames on that shoot, and
I guess it's photographing somebody who's creative, so they're going to want to help drive the
I
narrative,
don't know. I
right?
don't know. I'm not sure whether he was pissed off with my reporter or or something else because he wasn't playing ball. But anyway, the long story was that eventually they came back to me within a week saying David
Yeah,
was very sorry about the shoot. He's invited you over to Paris to come do the shoot again,
yeah,
and you can go backstage with him and do this stuff. And
even better.
so we did, but it still was a tough shoot. It still
Yeah.
wasn't a good shoot, but you know, it was
Does
okay.
does that experience shooting A-list celebrities, does that help you now do
Oh,
executives,
yeah, of
CEOs?
course. Yeah. I'm not phased about anybody. I've got
Yeah, you're not going to
CEOs and
flinch, right?
prime ministers and heads of governments and stuff like that around the world. Yeah, I'm not phased. No,
That's very cool,
no.
man.
It's only
Um,
when equipment starts to fail, that's when you get really, and it does fail sometimes.
yeah. Is it
You
is it
know.
a, I don't know, how do I put it? Like, do you get kind of an extra charge out of it? Like the shortest amount of time, the most important person, the more stressful it is, the more fun it is, or
Uh-huh.
does,
It's funny. I mentioned this the other day to somebody, and sometimes when I go and do a commercial shoot,
yeah,
it's almost like I forget something at home.
yeah,
It could be a sprocket for a attachment for the flash, or it could be
yeah,
the flash itself.
right,
So I have to make do. I have to try and come up with an alternative.
yeah,
It's almost like I'm unconsciously trying to push myself into getting a better picture without the right equipment I've got. So
yeah,
if I left the whole flash system in the car or something on, or in the back of the garage or somewhere,
yeah.
I've had to make do. I don't know. I try
It's
to push myself as much as I can now with any shoot.
yeah.
Um,
I sort of call those curveballs, and I think over the years if we've shot as many shoots as you have and I have, you've solved enough problems that the curveball is just a curveball, and it's just about sort of how you handle it, right? As I
Absolutely. And it's
what's the
keeping calm as well.
yeah, what's the expression that it's not that shit happens, it's how you handle the shit when it happens. Like,
Yeah.
can I say that? Yeah, of course I can say that.
Yeah, of course you can.
Have you ever had one of those curveballs that you really couldn't kind of come back from? That
Uh, no, I've had arguments though.
yeah,
And I thought I'd messed up my relationship with certain PRs because the PRs knew me as well. So there was, um, I had to do a shoot with Mariah Carey one day.
wow,
I can't remember if it was in Paris with her or something. And they said to me, "Don't talk to her because she won't talk to you.
yeah,
Don't direct because the enemies don't direct her." And only photograph one side of her face. She got a good
mhm,
side, this left hand side. So I walked into this auditorium. She's standing there, just ray of light, and I can't not just talk. I don't walk up to her and just start photographing her like she's some
yeah,
waxwork. I started to talk to her, and I could see the PR guy in the corner just
mm,
silently losing it.
yeah,
And so I directed her. I said, "Can you move this way, move that way?" I didn't give a toss about which side. She looked good both sides to me.
yeah, of course,
It was just a way of controlling the shoot and everything else, which they always try to do for some strange reason or other. I'm not there to make her look ugly. She's a beautiful looking woman. I'm making
yeah,
her look good as possible.
mm,
Yeah, and that's caused me a bit of friction for talking to the um, the talent. And that also happened with John Bon Jovi as well. Do
mm,
not talk to him until he
mm.
talks to you. Just like, just
It,
joking, aren't you?
it
And
sounds
I
like
did the
you're
same
photographing
thing.
royalty, right?
Yeah, well, they're just pop stars, aren't they? So, yeah. I even
Um,
made the PR in that shoot hold my light reflector actually, just to really piss him off. So,
so to have done all of those really great and cool people, uh, when you get now a headshot to do just a simple
hmm.
headshot, do you still try to bring an element of story into the equation?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who it is. It could be. it could be Prince or it could be the local actor from my
Yeah,
local drama club.
yeah,
I still try and produce the same sort of imagery with the
yeah.
same sensibility as photographing a celebrity.
Hmm.
I want to bring out the best character out of these young actors,
Yeah.
any actors.
When I work with assistants or my creative partner or on my own way, regardless of what we're given, what assignment we're given, we always ask ourselves, what's the story? Even if it's a tight shot like this, like what's the clothing, what's the background, what's is it a tie, is it red tie, is it blue tie,
Hmm.
expression, no expression. So I think it's really important, and I know a lot of younger emerging headshot photographers are watching this right now, and I think it's an important lesson for them to always never just think it's just a headshot. I've heard that a million times from clients. It's never just a headshot. All
No,
photography is dear and worthy of trying your best to tell a story.
yeah. Even when they push you to the limits of distraction, when they only give you a certain amount of time, or they give you a really bad room,
Yeah,
or that they're really dismissive towards you, which a lot of people are when it comes to photographers. They always like, oh, and last of all, can you get your photo done by this guy here?
yeah,
But I always overcome that and say, right, and I always try, because it's for me as well, I always try and get the best image that I
yeah.
can from a situation. And if the trickier the situation, the more of a challenge it is for me. So,
Sure,
but
sure.
I'm the ultimate game is I want this picture in my portfolio. If
Yeah,
I don't get it in the portfolio, then fair enough. But
yeah.
that's my challenge to myself. Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, as a photographer, what we're doing is we're working on our life's work, even if it's a simple
Mm.
shot or a complex shot or an important person or not important person. And you
Yeah.
never really know until you really get into that shoot how important or how great that shot's going to be. There's
Yeah,
subtleties,
that's
right?
definitely happens now, definitely for me now. But when I was working full time, 24/7 in the newspaper industry,
Hmm.
I didn't have time to think that way.
Yeah.
I'm working 24/7,
Uh-huh.
almost 7 days a week, from one shoot to the next shoot.
Right.
Um, it was it was fantastic. It was fun, but it was too much for a couple of years. I did it for 7 years, the celebrity
Yeah.
circuit thing, and it was too much for me in the end. And I had to I had to move. I thought I was going to leave, but they told me they didn't want me to leave. Stayed and moved on to a different department in the newspaper, which was fantastic as well. But looking back with hindsight, I wish I took more time with those shoots, with the celebrity shoots, and I wish I'd kept the negatives as well,
Of course.
because the negatives were left just
Yeah.
there were scans of one frame, two frames were scanned, and the rest went into the over box in the library.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for me, will never be seen again.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I've
Well,
I've lost loads of stuff from my
well,
early days.
in many respects, what you were going to school, like real life. Every day was a learning opportunity. So even though you may not
Mhm.
have those images, it's still you have them here. You have the
Oh
experience,
yes, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. It was easier when we went to digital. I could keep the stuff
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
but the film
How
stuff as
did
well.
you take that type of photography into shooting for an NGO, like going because you've done stuff for non-governmental organizations
Mm,
and it's not celebrity. It might be very hard scenes to see, but
yeah,
it's still an important story to tell, right?
yeah, yeah. You got to have a certain amount of empathy with all those jobs.
Yeah,
And some of them are really harrowing, some of them are really tough. Watching family victims, and but when I first started in photography, I said to you that I like my first love was sports photography, but my it was sports photography, but it was also photojournalism as well,
yeah,
and that was what I wanted to do originally. But I never in a million years thought I'd end up being a photojournalist. Never in a million
mm,
years. So when the opportunity arose, um, I was paired with a certain reporter at the Mirror.
yeah,
We did a lot of stuff on with NGOs around the world. I did a lot of disaster stories. Um, What else did I do? Any major news story that came up around the world, we were there. We were off. Well, I was part of a group of about 10 photographers that travelled constantly
Hmm.
around the world. Actually, we all had two passports each,
Hmm.
two bags in the car, packed with clothes, and so we're ready to fly off any given time.
Right.
Um, we had two passports because one passport was with the office when we're away. The other passport gets taken to. So if I was in Canada, for instance, on a shoot,
Right.
um, I may need say, John, you need to go to Pakistan next week. Your passport's at the embassy, and when
Gotcha.
you get back, you've got your passport, and it'll be has a visa in it. So you go to Pakistan or Afghanistan or Iraq or
Hmm.
Syria or wherever it was that you needed to go to. So it was constantly traveling for I did it for about 10, 12 years really. Yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
constant traveling. Yeah.
You
Um,
told me about a photograph that you photographed in, I don't know, was it Sudan?
mhm.
It was about the first birth of, uh,
Yes.
can you tell me
Yeah.
that story?
I forgot all about that until just recently. Yeah. When it came up for a license renewal. I went to South Sudan with Oxfam to cover the celebration of the first of the world's newest country, or the first
Right.
youngest country, I should say.
Right.
And I photographed the first baby of that country, first baby to be
Hmm.
born. They call her Independence. Yeah, they call her
Oh,
Independence.
brilliant.
She was the first baby to be born in the new Republic of South Sudan, and it got used around the world. And a museum in Canada, Human Rights Museum in Canada, have got it
Yes.
on their display somewhere in the museum. And the license came up again, and so I dug it out. And I remembered the picture, and I one of those pictures I just forgot about. But it was a really meaningful picture. It was a beautiful picture as well. Happy mother, smiling baby, or smiling baby, but and the midwife writing in a
Hmm. So,
giant
so the
book.
thing that you learn, or you at least it's sort of presented, that photojournalists are to have to remove themselves a bit from the story. But I get the
Hmm.
sense that your heart was always involved.
Yeah,
you're involved in what
absolutely.
you're shooting.
Yeah, always involved watching, and also always looking for the right angle as well. You're looking
Hmm.
for a narrative. You're looking for one picture to sum up the whole story,
Yeah,
which is sometimes impossible. But that's what you're striving for. You're
yeah.
striving to get that single image that tells the whole story. So you're looking for narrative.
Something iconic, right?
You're looking for narrative. You're looking for environment. You're looking for expression.
Hmm.
You're looking for human interaction.
Hmm.
There's a whole load of things that make up a good picture, and it's obviously near as impossible to get all those
Right,
sensibilities in one frame. But that's what I strive for, try and get as many pointers that tell the story into one single frame.
right.
And you become very good at it. After a while, you become very good at adding stuff to the pictures, like layers, other
Hmm.
people, uh, all the paraphernalia that goes into that particular story.
Of
You
course.
try and bring it all together into one single frame. And because I like photographing people and I'm into portraiture, I always had that sense where I needed to put my subject into the environment which told their story.
Yeah. And I imagine also you brought an element of empathy. Like you would, um, you'd want to make sure that they're photographed in a good light, that they would also enjoy the photograph, not just you, and not just who you're shooting for. But
That was always tricky as well because when you're working with an environment like Save the Children or Christian Aid, and I was like in the Horn of Africa somewhere, and
yeah,
we're trying to do a story on local people that needed help and assistance from the charity and from their donors, really.
yeah,
So you can't make the picture look too soft and cuddly.
mm,
You have to report back on
of course,
reality,
yeah,
on reality, and
story,
sometimes that reality is really hard,
yeah,
really hard. So you have to find the fine balance between emotive pictures and
hmm.
not too overly voyeuristic, and
Yeah.
um, so
Even
that's tricky.
even when we're doing corporate headshots, I try to tell the person I'm photographing that it might seem like the most important person in this equation is you, but really it's always the viewer and what story, what
Mm,
impression, what
mm,
feeling are they going to get from it. So yeah,
mm. Yeah,
that's
it's
a
true.
small version of what you're saying, but with commercial photography or corporate photography, we're selling ideas or services or
Hmm.
ideas. It's really just about again just
Yeah,
using the imagery to tell that story to do what it needs to do.
absolutely. So now I work mostly in the commercial sphere, and I do a lot of corporate branding and individual personal branding shoots.
Yeah,
And I'm just telling you a story, for instance, about that. So
please.
um, I'm working with a gallery owner in my local town,
Yeah,
and she's moved from London to Suffolk, and she's got a very expensive looking gallery, and she wanted some pictures that made her stand out from the other galleries.
yeah,
And she got some really expensive pieces in the gallery. She's got an overgrown garden outside the gallery in the back of the garden, and she got all this expensive artwork in the gallery. So I suggested she wanted an iconic picture of herself with her artwork, and I just thought, no, we need to take her out of the gallery
yeah,
and do something a bit different. Take the artwork out of the gallery as well,
yeah.
and herself. So I showed her a really iconic picture of Faye Dunaway with
Yes.
the Oscar on the table, Terry O'Neill's famous picture.
Yeah.
I said, we're going to do this shot of you
Hmm.
sitting in the garden behind the gallery with your artwork all around all around you, and you're sitting back in your chair reading
Right.
one of your art books. And so I always try and find an old scenario like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are hundreds of pictures we can reference this and we can go back on. But
Is it
when
the
you're,
photograph that's on your homepage, John? Is that the
I
photograph
put it
that?
up last night actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and I encourage anybody that's sort of following or listening to this to, take a moment and look at John's site. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful, and it wouldn't be what you would typically think a photographer do of someone who owned a gallery. But it's
Mm. Yeah,
awesomely
exactly. It's so
cool.
different. It's something a little bit different. I've obviously got the shots of her in the gallery with the artwork and
Yeah.
everything else, and headshots and the usual paraphernalia. But we wanted something different. I wanted something
Mm.
different as a
Nice.
standout picture. So, and she loved the idea, and I think that's what swung the shoot from 1 day shoot to a 2 day shoot, which
Right. Right.
obviously was better for me as well. Um, so yeah, I always try and push the shoot along in different ways, creative ways.
I'm gonna move things sideways for a second. When I first saw a photograph of you before or just when you were thinking of joining Headshots Matter, I it's the photograph of you with the denim jacket and two cameras, and I just thought, oh, that's so cool. And is that it comes from your photojournalism days, I imagine, right?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely. Always had two cameras.
do you all and you still operate like that?
I do, yeah. Always have a backup camera. I have so many cameras now, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I used to have I used to call them one called push and one called shove when I was in Fleet Street. So that was, and I've always worked with Nikon cameras because they're always, for me, the most robust and easiest to work with, and the quality was amazing. And I
Yeah.
still have my first Nikon FM camera and 50mm or 35mm
Hmm.
lens. I recently had a big exhibition in my local town, and they dug through all my old boxes and found my old cameras and
Nice.
my old Hasselblad's film cameras, and
Hmm.
which is really cool. And I so they put them on display as well. So yeah, I'm loath to sell them. I don't know why. I mean, what's going to happen to them when I hang up my cameras? I don't know, but
I don't know,
you know.
John. I still have my first Hasselblad that I bought in '83, and I photographed
Mm,
so many people with it, and
mm,
it's worth less to sell,
yeah,
but to
yeah,
me, it's
that's right.
priceless, right? It has such
Yeah,
emotional kind of connection. Yeah, it's great. And
yeah.
and on that note, like you shot. likely thousands of rolls of film in your day, film,
hmm hmm
and do you miss the darkroom?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I much rather digital than
Yeah,
film. Um, I mean, I enjoyed the film. Sometimes I'm amazed how, especially when I used to shoot tranny
yeah,
and with flash,
mm,
somehow you got it down to a T. It's work because you don't have much latitude with transparency film. If it was
yeah,
overexposed, sometimes it was worthless. You couldn't use it. If underexposed, likewise.
yeah,
Um, you could dupe it a little bit and try and push up the colours and bring down the light and stuff. When I used to dupe, I used to do spend dupe loads of transparency film when I was younger as well.
yeah,
But and I was always amazed when you got your film back from the film like Kodachrome or something, especially Kodachrome.
yeah,
You got that back, and it was just and it was ideal. It was perfect.
yeah. Of
It was just like wow, that's really good because you never know with the flashes at those days they were quite temperamental as well.
course.
So you know, I love that side of it. And look, actually pulling the film out of the dev was that was a nice feeling actually.
Yeah,
That was
of
a nice
course,
feeling.
right?
Mm,
When we talked on the phone the other day, we talked about how, shooting transparency film, you had to be bang on the exposure, plus or minus one
mm,
stop. No,
mm.
plus or minus a third of a stop.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And when you talk to young photographers now, they ask you, how did you do it? And there's only one answer, right?
Mm.
You had to be good.
That'd be
And
good. I used to shoot 10:8 transparencies when we did
what's
pack
that?
shots. 10:8 transparencies when we did pack shots
My gosh.
and 5:4, and
Yeah.
those are glorious. I remember seeing I had an advertising photographer as a friend, and he just shot transparencies, 10:8 transparencies,
Right.
and his portfolio was just 10:8 transparencies, all in the frames.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful.
Well, no.
Just,
Well,
yeah, just beautiful. And I remember, and he told me that, the way to. I mean, I could read light now without a light meter. I can
yeah.
tell it's 5.6 at f8 or 5.6 at 2.8 or
Yeah.
looking at the light just by looking at the light now, and that just
Yeah.
comes from years of experience
Yeah. That's
of
interesting, right?
pictures.
So in the day back then, you would have used a light meter, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And when's the last time you've used a light meter now?
I carry one in my bag all the time,
Yeah.
and I try to use it,
Yeah.
but I don't use it. I don't need to use it anymore. It's
Yeah.
just you got if you're tethered to Capture One or Focus,
Mhm.
which I use. You, you don't need it, and I want to use it. And I tell my assistant to take a reading.
Yeah.
And it's, when you do, I used to work in the studio for 7 years as well. So
Hmm.
getting the lights correct at the back, getting the proper white background, you needed a light meter. Otherwise, you weren't going to get the white background. You
Yeah.
were to get one uneven or shadows, and then you focus you expose for the background and take the light reading and expose for the model or the talent and the front and if you're using four lights, which is normally what we did in the studio those days, then and a rim light and a fun light and two backlights, you needed to take a reading.
Yeah. Hmm.
Now, do you need to take? Well, I haven't done that for a long time actually. Two lights in the background and
Yeah.
two at the front. I haven't done it
Yeah.
for a long while.
It's been a long time
So
for me too. Um,
yeah.
John,
Mm.
in your early years or even now, uh, has anyone more than anyone else inspired you?
Photographers, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. When I started off, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I love Irving Penn. I love Avondon, but everybody does love those guys. But I also Gordon Parks was a real inspiration to me. When
Yeah.
I saw um, a black American photographer,
Hmm.
I mean, it was hard enough for me in the 80s to be a black photographer,
Right.
but to see someone like Gordon Parks in the 40s and 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
70s, right up to the over to the 2000s, and his work has just stood out. It was fantastic, and his range of work as well stood out,
Right.
and that's what made me wanted to do change as well, to do from sport to news to feature work to NGO work to everything else and portraiture. I used to
Right.
love Avondon's and I love, as I said, Avondon Penn
Yeah.
um, and um, and Park's work. It just just fantastic. Plus, there's other photographers that I love. I
Yeah.
could go on all day about them, actually.
Yeah, those guys, they did their commercial gigs, but they were also always shooting as well, shooting what was important to them. I think
Yeah, I
that's
do a lot of personal work, which I have to. It keeps me sane, really.
yeah,
Um, I go out there and just experiment with no hassle at all. No, no one chasing me. No one. And if I mess up, I mess up. But you don't mess up. And I actually put in more effort into those jobs than I do commercial jobs. I think
sure.
my own jobs. So
So tell
yeah,
me how these days, how often do you shoot?
every day,
Yeah,
virtually every day, or every other day.
yeah, goodness.
Um, yeah, every day. I take my camera everywhere. I mean, sometimes. Do you know why I take my camera everywhere? During COVID,
Right.
I was in my local supermarket, Little Waitrose in Suffolk, where I live, and a guy walked in. It's the middle of COVID. We've all got masks on, but he walked in a hazmat suit and a oxygen tank on his back and a gas mask over his face and a funnel and
My gosh.
down to his blue suit. He was covered in blue and a mask and everything. And I stood there and I didn't have a phone and I didn't have a camera.
Ah.
And it was an award-winning picture. And he was holding a basket full of shopping in this hash mag. And I just cried. I thought I better go and get my camera, go get a camera. I went home, came back, and he'd gone. And I just thought from then on, I always have a camera in the car or on my shoulder now.
It reminds me of the expression, like you're a photographer, you are a photographer, but it's not what you do, it's who you are. Like it's entirely who you are, right? It's
Yeah, yeah. Some
looking.
people call it a curse.
Well,
I think of it as something else. I think my wife would call it a curse, actually. I don't
yeah,
know, but I feel as if I am one with the camera. It's part of me.
yeah,
I wouldn't know what to do if I didn't do
mm,
photography.
it's
I
terrific.
keep saying to my wife, if I wasn't a photographer, I'd be a rock star like Rolling Stones, or I'd be a racing driver like Lewis
Yeah,
Hamilton.
Lewis
But that ain't
Hamilton.
gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen. So
Yeah,
I'm
that
gonna
those days
stick
are
to
gone, man.
photography. Yeah,
Well,
stick to
being a
photography.
photographer is, in my opinion, the most amazing. I don't want to call it a job. The most amazing thing that one can do. You get to observe, be a part of things. You get to learn some amazing things. You get to be in environments that nobody else gets to be in.
Yeah,
It's pretty
absolutely.
special,
Mm.
right?
And I've been flown around the world, first class sometimes.
Yeah.
I've been to over 60 countries. I've worked in 60 countries over that, and
Mm,
flown to some amazing places and
mm.
amazing locations, met some amazing people, and taken a few pictures while I'm doing it as
Yes.
well, and a couple of awards along the way. So yeah,
Mm.
it's all been cool. Yeah,
That's well
yeah,
said.
yeah.
In this day and age where AI and over filtered imagery is becoming kind of pretty common. How do you
Mm.
feel about that, and how do you feel about the preservation or the championing of authenticity?
I think it's very scary actually.
Mm,
Um, there's no there's no way that we can anticipate what's going to happen.
mm,
I think headshot photography is probably one of the last disciplines that you can do without AI getting involved, other than editing. But you never know. You could
mm,
never predict what's going to happen. Maybe there'll be a phone where you can just take a selfie and it'll be so good that you don't need a photographer. I don't know.
mm.
Eventually, I don't know. But it's evolution, isn't it? I don't know. I don't know what to say about the A1. I
Yeah,
don't like it. I like it in certain respects, but when it comes to taking away
yeah,
our occupation, our love for it, and everything else, who knows? Maybe we'll go back to film again. Maybe just do that like vinyl records or something.
yeah. I think we'll see a bit of that. I believe wholeheartedly that what you and I and many other portrait and headshot photographers do, I believe. I believe that it will not be taken away. The moments in time, the decisions that we make sort of in real time to photograph the subtlety of an expression, or
Mm.
to, I don't know, to calm
Yeah.
someone who's nervous. I think it's special, and that's one
Mm.
of the reasons why at Headshots Matter we curate and champion photographers who are shooting their own style, not
Mm.
necessarily trying to shoot everything the same, because I think that's the kind of style that will easily be replaced by
Yeah.
new technologies. But when I see your work and I see the grittiness of street or environment, or a mixture of light sources, and while someone is still, I don't know, engaging with the camera, it's really special. And I think obviously we see that type of imagery happening with AI, but there is something missing that doesn't emotionally connect with the viewer. So
Hmm.
I still
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah. You got to bring your own passion into the mix.
Yeah,
I don't think AI can bring passion or storytelling, or it can bring, well, it can, and it can, and it can't, but you have to have that human connection, which hopefully it won't ever be able to do.
yeah,
I'll tell you what my biggest peeve is. It's not actually AI, it's photographers selling to other photographers, or photographers selling their lighting courses or their six-figure courses to people to Tom, Dick, and Harry that
mm,
fancy picking up a camera and making loads of money out of it.
yeah,
That really belittles the whole
yeah,
profession, I think.
yeah,
And some of these photographers, I've been doing photography for a couple of years tops, but
yeah,
they're all of a sudden they're experts in their field,
mm, mm,
and they sell these packages to photographers that want to become leading photographers. It just
yeah,
really pisses me off. Um, I don't know. I don't. I'm just one of my pet peeves, and maybe
mm,
it's because of my age. Maybe I'm an old school photographer, but maybe
yeah.
that is the way it's going to happen now. Yeah, it's going to happen, and
Yeah,
people
maybe.
want
I don't know,
coaching.
John. I think as photographers, we have a certain level, or a certain element of age fluidity, because we're even more curious now than we were when we started in our 20s. And I think that curiosity is what keeps us young, but also
Hmm.
we've got experience of life. And so I think it's more of that experience of life is why we believe it's important to hang on to authenticity, to hang on to the real deal, hang on to the real connection, the real
Hmm.
emotion. And yeah, I agree with you. I'm not crazy about seeing, many photographers everywhere learning how to shoot kind of all one way.
Hmm.
I just think and you
It
can't
values the
really,
profession.
yeah, you can't really teach a photographer or an artist how to live and observe and to interact. It just takes time, and it takes the encouragement for curiosity.
It does, it does. But then on the other hand, I see all these young photographers, up and coming young photographers who shoot in a style in a way that I could never try, I never do.
Yeah,
I have tried to emulate some of the styles that the way these new photographers, young photographers shoot,
right.
and I can't. I can't. Even if I try to do it, comes out.
Yeah,
If in my head, in my mind, comes out wrong. But maybe that's the way you shoot. Like shooting low down with with wide angle lenses and
yeah.
being
I think.
fashioned in a certain way. But
Yeah,
that's just the way we've moved on, and I am definitely an old school photographer. So, um,
hey,
what do I know? I
John,
don't.
I think old school is new school, and
You think? Ah,
we have so many really great photographers in our community. Mike in Montreal, who is just a relatively young guy. I don't know how old Mike is, but he's probably early 30s, and he's trying lots of new things, and
mm,
I don't know. I think the two of you guys should actually meet. Mike has a great respect for kind of analog and
mhm.
connection and experience. So I think actually he'd be a really good guy for you guys to connect.
Well, and photography can be a lonely profession. So, meeting other photographers and engagement as a photographer is a good thing. So,
Yeah,
I'm always up for that. Always up for that.
I
Yeah.
think it is. So, John, we're getting close to our time. Is there anything that's kind of new on the horizon, or projects that you've got coming your way in the next week or two that you're looking forward
Yeah,
to?
I'm always working on projects and campaigns. I've got a few. I'm working on. I won't. I'm not going to go into them, but they're really interesting. They're portrait projects, which I'm really keen on. And I've also got. I've been lucky enough to be given a project where I'm displaying 40 of my favourite shots around town, and they're
Hmm.
paying me handsomely for it as well, which is really good.
Nice.
So they're going to blow these images up to AO size, sorry,
Yeah.
and I'm going to find a quote to go with the pictures, and we're going to display them around town in the empty shops that
Hmm.
and do a trail, which is really good.
When will that be up?
I'm in the process of doing it now, doing the captions and picking the full. So it'll be up in next month, I think.
Super
Yeah,
cool.
next month sometime.
Super
Yeah,
cool.
and there's a few other things on the pipeline as well, which is really good, really good. Hmm.
Well, John, I'm very grateful for you taking some time and for you and I kind of wrangling some of that
Hmm.
initial technical stuff at the beginning. And
No, I'm honoured. I'm honoured to that you asked me on your Instagram night, even though I couldn't get on. Go on, actually.
well, it's like that expression. Whenever we're asked to do something that might be out of our comfort zone or that we haven't done before, we always say yes and then figure it out, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was looking for my daughter to try and help me, but she disappeared, so I didn't have a clue. But we got there in the end. But
Yeah.
yes, it's a good learning curve. So, yeah,
Yeah, good
glad to
stuff.
help
All
you
right.
out.
Well, my
Yeah.
friend, thank you for your time, and we'll continue to be chatting in the future.
I look forward to meeting up in December, is it, or
Yeah,
something?
I'm coming in
Yeah,
November. That'll
November.
be
Sorry.
the 13th. Well, we're planning a little meetup on the 16th, which is the Sunday. We're gonna go to the National Gallery, and I think Raj has one of our members. Raj has an image up, and then we're gonna
Yeah,
go to a pub that's just in Trafalgar Square, and a whole bunch of us are gonna get together and share some stories and a pint or two, and have a visit face to face. So I'll let you know
yeah,
the full details.
yeah. It'd be good. It'd be good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
All right.
likewise, my friend. Okay, thanks, John. Appreciate it. All right.
Yeah. Look after
Cheers.
yourself. See you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.